Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, this evening, we're going to be looking at the two big games which took place over the weekend. Liverpool versus Aston Villa. And of course, the big one, Arsenal running away big winners over Manchester United. Now, joining me to review these two matches, we have returning to the podcast, Speedy.
Good evening, viewers and subscribers. I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. For the developments.
Yes, Speedy, welcome back. And we're going to jump straight into the weekend's action. Liverpool
Yes.
running away big winners over Aston Villa. For me, a surprising result. What says you? How did you see that one?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say a surprising result. The
Mm,
performance, I would say, was surprising. I think that's probably the best performance Liverpool have had in a while as a team. With Aston Villa 1 week, they're this amazing team the next week, so they don't really. I am more fascinated by the performance of the team as opposed to the marginal picture.
mm. Yeah, I mean, for sure, it was a good performance. As I said, I expected a win, but not in the way, we got it. I mean, 3-0 winners strolling pretty much at the end of the game. I mean, your strolling is like Aston Villa didn't even put up a fight. That is what shocked me or surprised me. As you say, 1 minute Aston Villa is playing sumptuous football, and then the next minute they're pretty much blown away. I mean, this reminded me of that game they had versus Newcastle in the opening fixture. Newcastle really took them to school, and the same thing could be said here of Liverpool. But in between these two games, we saw where Aston Villa was getting some good results. They got two victory in the EPL and also two victory in the Europa Conference League. So one would have thought that after that battering on the opening day, they bounced back and would have given a good account of themselves in this one, but it was not to be. I mean, it was lights out from inside 3 minutes with that Soberslide goal.
Yeah, and I must say I'm not ready to apologize yet, but I was one of this Shabas like signing. But game after game, performance after performance, is making me eat my words. So, quality player overall the team. I thought from midfield, I thought from the front the press was excellent. I mean, we didn't give them any time on the ball. I thought that we tried to transition very quickly. With all the rumors of Mo Salah, um, potentially getting a bid from Saudi, a bid for him, I thought he played well, professional performance from him. So all in all, it was a dominant performance. And I also want to speak on Unai Emery. I think he probably got it wrong with that Bailey substitution.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
thought
Bailey
that
was substituted
Bailey
on and then substituted off. That's an embarrassing situation for any footballer. And we saw when he was substituted, he didn't
extremely
even go to the bench. He stormed down the tunnel.
extremely embarrassing. And for not just the fact that he got substituted. I mean, if he was one of the players out there playing horribly, then I could say, okay, maybe I can say where this makes sense. But he was actually an attacking threat. I saw him try to create from the little chances he got or the few balls he. So I'm not really sure about that.
Well, I mean, for
I
me, it seemed as if he's out of favor. I mean, the fact is, over the summer, I mean, Emery signed two direct players who would be competing for his position. The signing of Diaby and also the signing of Zaniola. So these are two players who play in Bailey's position. So to me, he seemed to be out of favor with the manager, and to me, it's just a matter of time before maybe he moves on from Aston Villa. I mean, with this being the latest in a series of you know, very odd decisions by Emery. I mean, subbing the sub. I mean, this is an embarrassing
think
moment for any professional footballer.
you can look at it as yes being out of favor, but the point is he is in form. It's not as if he's just there making up numbers. He is in form. So
Yeah, but you seem like
very,
he's the
very, very
early
unfortunate.
sacrifice. Any he seemed like the first man on the list to
The
be
first stop,
sacrificed. You understand? Because
I
that
also
was
have
what
that
happened.
problem. I also have that problem with Luis Diaz that for some reason Klopp keeps taking off his man early. I was very pissed when he put him off as the sub in the last game as well. I thought Gakpo should have came off. But, probably it's a fantasy football kind of thing in my head because we tend to get caught up in that and the realities of the game as well. So
Yeah, but
I
the
don't know.
managers have their reason. I think with the case of Luis Diaz, it could possibly be, the injury, that could be in the back of Klopp's mind that he's somewhat, protecting him against, a reoccurring injury. So that's a possibility, but I think he's also getting back up to full fitness and probably not there 100% as yet. So it's a case of nursing him back to health. But I understand the point you're making. I mean, it's a hard decision for a manager because one, you don't want to take off Salah and then you get another tantrum being thrown with the Saudis lurking as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
So I don't know.
at the
Maybe
end
it's
of
just
the
a case of
day,
personalities. Maybe Diaz is now the new Mane in terms of how he's being
well,
managed.
that is true. And also another problem is the consistency of Salah. When you look out there, there's not much other players that you can find. I think if it was easier to replace Salah, probably would have gone already. But I don't think that the consistency is there. In terms of other players for us to go out there and sign somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no one out there like Salah. You can't really replace Salah, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just
Because
like Tottenham
if you
can't
look
really
out,
replace
if
Kane.
you look at who is the right winger who is bagging 30 goals consistently,
Doesn't exist. That player
I
doesn't
don't see that
exist.
person.
That player
So
doesn't exist, But I mean, at the end of the day,
Salah,
Liverpool will have to evolve without him, much like Tottenham you see now evolving without Kane, where it's more of rather than depending on one individual, it's a
yeah,
collective
but
effort,
the thing is, Tottenham had more room to improve because the whole team was playing hard. And if you look at it, all the coach did was, change a few things in terms of the playing style and personnel. There's not much you would need to change a whole playing style. It's just the player. And if they can convert those, levels that Salah has been converting over the last, well,
Yeah, that would have
from
been
he
the
came to
hope
the
with
club.
Nunes, for example. I mean, what was your take on Nunes's performance? I mean, he's always a busy striker, but again, it seems as if the finish is eluding him. I mean, created chances, XG, but bagging that
Well,
goal
I think
seemed
he
to be
was
a difficult
unlucky.
task for him.
I think he was very unlucky with the OG and also with the chip that he tried that hit the crossbar.
Mm.
And another day, people always say, yeah, but he didn't have. But on another day, that's two quality goals. People are
Or even
talking
a hat
about
trick
you
as well.
as a rival. Exactly. So, yeah, and with the one that he tried to head and then kick at the same time. So, uh, boy, Nunes is just a rough one.
Yeah, but I think
One
he'll get
thing
it
I
right once
think
he keeps getting into those goal scoring position. It's really just a matter of time before the goals start flowing. And I mean, you can see where he can be
that club
explosive as
is
well.
really the coach. Do you think that club is really the coach to get the best out of?
I think it's
I'm
just a
not
matter of time, to be
necessarily sure.
honest.
I'm not necessarily sure that club has a record of
Yeah, man,
getting an
Clap
average
will get the best of him,
type
man. Let not thy heart be
of
troubled.
a
It's just a
world
matter
class.
of time.
Yeah, but Klopp wasn't even playing him. That's the thing.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
Clap,
he tried to
that's
play.
The regular Clap style with
Sometimes
new
he tried
players
to
that are
play
eased
players.
into the team.
Yeah, but he's out of here. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
season
it's
two
a matter
now.
of time, man. With a team such as Liverpool, rotation will come into the mix, and it's the farm players which will usually get the nod. And we saw where Darwin was rewarded for his performance against Newcastle. I thought that was an excellent decision by Klopp. You really have to keep the confidence of the player up, and he got the start. It's a good reward for a good performance, and you could say, I mean, even though he didn't bag the goal, he did bag an assist. Hit
Yes.
he was a major contributor in that own goal, which put Liverpool 2-0 up as well. So for
And
sure,
I think
he
at
was a busy
some point
striker.
he was involved. at some point he was involved in almost all of the goals.
Exactly,
Yes, I must
exactly.
agree
He
with that.
he got that, he got that first header that led to that Salah goal from the corner as well. So he was an active
Yeah.
participant and not necessarily one playing on the fringes. So for me, come next game, another start should be in the pipeline, and I feel he will only grow from strength to strength. But I mean, from a tactical point of view, did we see anything different from the Liverpool team? I mean, even with the player selection, we saw McAllister playing the sixth role and then end up being on the bench. So Jones getting the start. To me, Jones is an excellent midfielder, a real underrated player, and a cornerstone in that Liverpool squad, homegrown player. And I feel if he gets the opportunity, Jones and Elliott, I feel they will only grow from strength to strength. So oftentimes, this Liverpool midfield is questioned, but I believe Klopp has the tools at his disposal. It's just a matter of giving these players, enough opportunity to showcase their talent. And I thought Jones had a very good game. What says you?
Um, the I'm not necessarily sold on Jones, to be honest. Another player that has done an amazing game and then he's quiet or is injured for a period of time. He does have quality though. That's one thing you can't take away from him. He does have quality. I think a consistent run in the team would help him. But if we're looking at the signings we have made and also those who are injured to come back, can we really say that he's going to get a consistent run in the team?
Well,
Or we could
performance
say
will
that
tell, if Klopp is going by performance, I thought Jones had an excellent game. He's a different midfielder compared to the others, to be honest. He's one of the few midfielders who will take the ball forward with the dribble successfully. Soberslide is another one who will take the ball forward. But when you look at McAllister, he's a technician. He got the passes, the control. He can
and the
dictate
thing
the
is,
pace of the game.
I,
Same
I
with
don't
Endo.
I don't even want McAllister to be playing at the six right now. I want
Well, maybe against the
when
tougher
when
games, he might be
McAllister
moved forward.
when McAllister was at Brighton, he had license to move around the pitch
Mm,
and he predominantly was in the forward areas creating
right.
others. I want to see him there playing for Liverpool, on the edge of the box, getting balls, kick out goal, rebounds, setting up plays. I think that's where we'll see the real McAllister. Because I think
Well,
he still has a
Liverpool
lot to
did make a new
do.
signing as well on deadline day, Gravenberch. So maybe when Gravenberch is integrated into the team, you may see a different dynamic in the Liverpool midfield as
That
well.
would be the hope. But if that is the case, is it a toss up between McAllister and Elliott or McAllister and Jones?
Well,
Because I
time
think
will
that
tell, really.
Rashford
I mean,
has cemented his spot in the team.
it's
But
for Klopp to really
when you
find the right
speak about
combination.
yeah, so when you
Usually
speak
you're looking
about
at three, so it's to find the right balance amongst the numbers you have. So it will be interesting to see which of the three will get the consistent starts going forward, and then those who may be rotated in, maybe in terms of injuries or rest. But it will definitely, I mean, when all players are fit, even Thiago coming back as well, it will be interesting to see who gets the consistent starts. But I mean, in any team looking to go for a title, you need depth and quality
what
in
do you
depth as well.
think about
So
Thiago Vinicius?
personally, I don't believe he has the legs. He's a good technician in terms of a deep line playmaker, but from a defensive point of view, I'm not sure if he is the best shield. Against weaker opposition, he will be excellent, but against, a top team such as a Man City or a Arsenal, you're gonna need legs. And I'm not sure if Thiago provide that at the start. He may be a good man to come off the bench in terms of a substitute.
Don't you think that he could give a good 45 to 55
Yeah, he will.
and
He
then
will. And of course, he has that experience as well. So, as I said,
yeah.
against the top teams, his legs may be questioned. That's my only concern. But in terms
I
of
wouldn't
him
necessarily
controlling the game,
question I wouldn't
dictating the
necessarily
pace,
question
making the
Thiago.
passes, he has that in his locker. But as from a defensive, providing that defensive shield, for me, I am somewhat questionable in that regard, to be honest, when it comes to Thiago. I believe you need a destroyer in there who can also take the ball out of the back. A Fabinho like type player. I
But
believe
so
maybe
you
if
do
Endo
know
is
that
given the
um
opportunity, he may come good.
You do know that Thiago is an aggressive tackler, though.
That is the issue I have. I believe he goes to ground too easy. That's
Yeah,
my
but
issue. He's not on his
he
feet. He's always going to ground.
but he
And
wins the ball more often than not. He's a smart tackler.
I'm, I'm not too sure, but time will tell. Time will tell. As I said, I mean, even when he was fit and playing, he wasn't really getting that consistent start in the team. So I'm not sure he will get that now with younger, fresher legs now, a more robust midfield, a more mobile midfield. I'm not sure he'll get that. To me, he can now play the Milner role. You're in control of the game and you
Come
want to
on,
solidify the side, then you
come
bring
on,
on a
come on,
Thiago.
come on,
Yeah,
come
man,
on,
the
come
Milner role, man. When you're in
on.
control, so like for example, this
So you're
Aston Villa
disrespecting
game
Thiago. Again.
was a perfect time to bring on a man like Thiago. You're 3-0 up and you just want to see the game out. Game management. He's a good game manager. These are the
People,
games you will see Thiago in my opinion.
nobody wanted to see Milner being subbed out most of the times that he was. I don't want to put Thiago in that category.
Well,
I think that with a consistent run, Thiago can play that six role very well. Gives us a pivot not only of tackling and short passes, but also to create space. I think that he's the perfect person for that position. But going back to the game tactically, I thought that this is almost looking like 2019 Liverpool in terms of how we press Aston Villa. I was very, very, very impressed with the front three. They didn't give Aston Villa defenders time to pass out from the back. Um, they also pressed the midfield in terms of uh Szoboszlai and Jones getting into battles. That Douglas Luiz, even though his team lost, he had a good game. I'm hearing that he's a possible buy for Liverpool in the future. And I thought that he played relatively okay against the press, considering the circumstances. So really, I thought it was a brilliant display by us, and I hope it continues. It's horrible that such a display is just before the international break. You would have wanted to see if a match was being played next week coming. You'd have wanted to see if we could carry that on. That after the international break, you don't know how players are coming back, if they're injured, if the team will be at the same level mentally, or they will take a next game. Now, hopefully, we come back against Wolves with the same momentum.
Yeah, that's a very good point there. You would want to take this momentum over into the next game. And, with the international break, oftentimes players pick up knocks. The full team isn't in training. And as a result, you might get a disjointed performance the next game after the international break. So that's a very interesting point. I was just surprised, to be honest, at the Aston Villa approach. Again, they persist with this high line to I'm not sure. I think Emery needs to
I think,
definitely look into
I
that.
think that
And
I think with the pace of Diego Carlos and some of the other defenders, I think that Emery really believes that he has a top six or top five team. And I think that's why he's trying to get on the front foot against teams, especially the big teams.
well,
Necessarily
I
sure
mean,
if that's the best course of action,
yeah,
then
the
we will
results
look at
are
it.
proving that. It was the same high line against Newcastle and it's the same high line against Liverpool, which you could say are two of the bigger teams. He did get the result against what was it, Burnley and Everton, if memory serves me correctly, which you could say are two of the weaker teams that will be in the bottom half of the table throughout the entire season. So while the tactic may be good against lesser teams, I think working it out against the more technically gifted teams is another story. So, and I thought he got it wrong again versus Liverpool. So, and again, you will see Costa, I mean, Diego picking up another injury. So, I mean,
He's a real liability.
it's
I
another
think
injury in
honestly,
the back
I think
line.
at
So, you
one
now have
point
Mings and you have,
he was
you
out
have
for a
Carlos
year.
out as well.
Yeah, I think at one point he was out for a year. And from he
Right.
joined from
Yeah.
Sevilla, he has been.
Yeah, since joining
So,
Aston Villa, he has
just
really
one.
not made his mark, to be honest. Injury has plagued him since joining Aston Villa. But they did make a signing over the window, Langley, the former Spurs and former Barcelona player. So Immediately he should be called into action come the next game with the injury now to Carlos. So it may be a Kansa Langley partnership there in the heart of the Aston Villa defense. So it will be interesting to
I
see
think
how he
that's
beds in and if
a
consistent
recipe for
performance
disaster.
can be garnered.
I think that's a recipe for disaster to be. I don't think Langley is that good. He has proved
Time is the master on
his
that one, you
partner.
know.
Yeah, but
But I
you know,
mean,
sometimes average teams perform better in average teams. So we'll see how that goes.
definitely, definitely. But we move Speedy and we move over to the game that is the talking point of the town. Arsenal running away 3-1 winners over Manchester United. What were your initial thoughts on that game?
Uh, I'm surprised by how Manchester United controlled the game in the first half, I must say. I thought they knocked the ball around well. Not necessarily progressive, but they knocked the ball around well enough. I thought that they also pressed Arsenal well. So I thought that was a good display.
Yeah, definitely. They did control possession, especially in their half of the field. You know,
Mhm.
Arsenal somewhat sat off, I would say, and not necessarily met their backline with an aggressive space. Onana, was very deliberate in his passing out from the back, and it was a dominance in terms of possession, but not much penetration. It was that
Yes.
one breakaway which led to that Rashford goal. I believe Kai Havertz gave it away in the attacking turn, and two, three passes later, the ball was in the back of the net. You know,
I have
right? But immediately thereafter, Arsenal again stepped up and within a minute was level through another breakaway down the left side. Martinelli crossed to Odegaard and it was 1-1 in the back of the net. And I thought at that point, to be honest, I thought it would have ended in a draw because that was my prediction in the preview that it was going to be a 1-1 draw. But I mean, a series of events really took place in that final, 15 minutes of the game? First, the offside, by Garnacho. Goal with big celebration, big,
questionable outside.
but for the goal to be chalked off.
Yeah, it was a questionable outside.
Well, I'm not sure
He's
how
lying.
offside can be questionable. I mean, it's a mathematical calculation that VAR is using
I
to
don't
make these
trust, I
calls.
don't
So,
I don't trust these lines to be very honest. But
we
you know
see.
there's
I
always
don't know. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to live with these decisions. And from
parts of
the VAR, it was offside, and at that point, it was still 1-1. And lo and behold, time added on, up steps Rice, and I mean, that was pretty much the winner. I mean, the Gabriel Jesus goal was only a consolation at that point in time, but the real winning goal was really that Rice strike late into time added on, and that really just killed the Manchester United spirit. And it was Arsenal. The narrative suddenly shifted, and it was Arsenal. But tactically, I thought Arteta got it right. No more round pegs into square holes. Gabriel back in the back line where he belongs, and
I
Zinchenko
thought
playing his usual role on the left and Ben Blanco on the right. That is the team that Arteta need to use going forward. And the result is there for all to see. This experimentation with Partey at right back stepping into midfield, rubbish. Rubbish.
but I thought he was forced into that position because I don't think he would have made it had Partey not been injured.
Well, this injury might very well come as a blessing because if not, it really forced Arteta to pretty much play the team that he has been playing for the predominance of last season. And, it was a case of going back to basics, in terms of team selection and pretty much getting it right. I thought his tactics worked well. He gave Manchester United the ball in their third, but definitely once the ball came into midfield and into the final third, it was all hands on deck in terms of defending, pressing, and getting control. But Manchester United dominated possession, but I thought that possession was by design. Arteta and his tactics allowed Manchester United the ball in their half and not necessarily being drawn out of position. So it was pretty much, you could almost say it was worthless possession. This possession did not hurt Arsenal in any one form or the other. And when you check the statistics, you will see that even though Arsenal had less of the ball, they were more of an attacking threat, you know. Especially, I would say Martinelli down his side had a very good game, I would say, and it capped with an assist. Saka, was good, not predominantly good, but good enough. And of course, the midfield battle pretty much canceled each other out. But at the end of the day, it's really that extra quality which you pay for, and this is one repayment of that 100 million pound that Rice cost to Arsenal. I'm not sure the value you would put on a winning goal against Manchester United, but definitely, Rice stepped up and capped a good performance with a goal, and it was lights out thereafter. I mean, at that point in time, there was nothing much Ten Hag could have done in order to bring back the game. Sometimes it's just how late of a goal it is, and it was game over, really.
Yeah, it was definitely game over, after that. I thought their heads dropped too after the offside call. No, I thought they really thought they had the game then. But
Mm.
it's like in the extra time, it's like they were just hanging on and inviting a lot of pressure, and that's the worst time, goals are scored early in games and also late in games. That's when
And
you
not
do not
not
want to be
not
on.
only inviting pressure, but we saw where the defensive line was switched out. We saw Johnny
Yeah,
Evans coming on. What?
now a bit of Premier
Who,
League nostalgia,
who is this guy? Is this a testimonial? Johnny Evans. Who would have thought? Who would have predicted that Manchester United would be ending the game with Maguire and Johnny Evans as their centre backs in a game of this magnitude? It just goes to show, I mean, what's going on over there at Manchester United. We also hear reports of bust up with Sancho and the coach taking place as well.
and yeah, it's chaos over Manchester United right now. I don't want to say I'm sorry for them, but I am really not. They're a club that have been run poorly since, or even during the last 10 years of Alex Ferguson to now. With poor signings, poor management, overspending on contracts, player power divisions, calling out this, calling out that, dirty laundry in the street. I look at that club right now, and if I was a United, I'd be very worried. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even have any expectations of the season as to how things are looking right now. It doesn't look good for them at all.
Mm. These those are some very interesting words there, Speedy. I mean, I mean, it just goes to show how quickly the narrative changes in football. Would we have
Yeah,
been having this conversation if that game had ended 1-1, or if that Garnacho goal had stood for Man Utd to go on to win 2-1? We'll probably be having a different conversation where the spotlight
probably
might
not.
have been on Arsenal.
Probably not, but I think that Ten Hag probably would have still been asked that question, and Manchester United fans would still be saying even after a victory like that, there's still things happening behind the scenes. So not necessarily in terms of the performance scrutiny, just how the club is run, basically.
So
I
in
think that would
terms
have
of how
still.
these two teams set up tactically, though, Speedy, were there any surprises from a Manchester United point of view in terms of the tactical setup or even the player selection, or was it what you expected in terms of player selection and tactics?
Well, I think I heard somewhere that it was a possibility that regular would have started.
Mm. Oh,
That
that's the
was the
new left
only,
back they signed?
yeah, that's the only thing I thought would have been. But instead they started Dalo. I thought he had a pretty good game on the left hand side. I'm not sure if Saka is out of form, but he handled him pretty well over there. I thought, White had an okay game against Man Utd. Again, the back line was solid as usual. well, when Gabriel and Saliba was playing. So yeah, I thought that was a good partnership. I'm also well, if you tactically look at it, I thought that Arsenal probably would have outpossessed Manchester United. I don't think they had the players to control the game, but when you look at it from a Arteta point of view, he probably really did allow them the possession in areas that wouldn't necessarily harm them. I thought that if you watch Manchester City and you watch what Ten Hag is trying to do with Onana, it's miles apart. There, he's trying to get the Edison effect out of him. But I think that Onana is wanting to have the ball too much at his feet.
Mm,
Yes, you hold up the ball. Yes, you be calm on it. But they're always looking at him as the pivot. He should not necessarily be the pivot, or he should be an addition to the pivot. And I think that with you're seeing the keeper with most of the ball. All you have to do, watch the person beside you, watch who's behind you, and you don't necessarily have to run in wild. You control the game better that way, and that's what Arsenal did. Onana's passing is not at the level of Edison. So you saw where one or two of those passes went astray. Arsenal regrouped easily. Yes, some of them went to the right players, but you have Anthony out of form, you have Rashford out of form. So even when it did get to those players, not much materialized. So it's a work in progress for them. But tactically, yeah, Arsenal got it right.
yeah, that's a very interesting point there you raised, Speedy. I to be honest, I wasn't seeing it that way, but now that I look at it, where Onana, I believe he had what, 45 completed passes if the
Well,
statistics hold true.
that's too much. Way too much.
Right. I mean, as I said, I really wasn't looking at it through the lens you're seeing it from, where that can or was a real, I mean, a liability in this game. As you said, it seemed as if Arteta controlled the game by giving Man United possession in their defensive third. But once the ball came into midfield, it was all hands on deck, hurrying and harassing and pressing. And as a result, Manchester United really didn't create much in terms of, openings. It was Arsenal once they got it, then they look the more dangerous team. So it's an interesting observation, and I'll be definitely looking to see how this materialize going forward for sure, especially Onana seemed to have a very, what should I say? He seemed to have a big personality, to be honest.
Definitely.
So it would be interesting to see how things progress from there. And of course, Manchester United continue to concede goals. I mean, they conceded two against Nottingham Forest, and they have now conceded three versus Arsenal. So that's 5 goals in 2 games. And this might
But,
very well
but
become a
I don't think
worrying
that's
trend
what they
going
brought
forward.
Onana for. Yeah,
Yeah,
they brought him to stop goals, not to be you know as a third centre back, if you would want to call it that. So I think he needs to focus on the most important task at him first. But I mean, I guess one positive we can take out of that is that he was recalled to his national team. So I guess, they have seen that the error that they have probably have made, and you can look at that as a positive. Hopefully he gets a couple of games in the national break and comes back better. Or sharper, I should say. Because I think that he could have saved the first goal. I think if he moved a little bit quicker, would have probably saved that goal. But,
you mean that
it's a
Odegaard goal?
yeah, it's a work.
I think that might be asking a lot, to be honest, Speedy. I mean, that was
I
really struck well.
I don't think so. He could have
I would
saved that.
say maybe he was a bit unlucky not to save the Rice goal, because he got a decent enough palm on that shot. Even though that shot took a deflection, he did manage
Yeah,
to get
but
a
that
palm. So,
deflected balls, you can't really predict even if you touch them. But
right, right.
clear cut opportunities like that, I just think he could have, done a little better. Get a finger or something.
But it was definitely an interesting game. And I mean, one team should be buoyed by this result. And the other team should definitely be going back to the drawing board to see how things pan out. But any final words, Speedy, in terms of the weekend's action, you know?
But I thought overall the games are good. Um, I think that I really wanted to join the Man United Arsenal game. You know, as much as we can separate ourselves from the chasing part, the better. I don't necessarily think that West Ham will continue being up there, even though they have had a great start. And one thing I can say is Tottenham looks really good. So they probably are a team to look out for in the upcoming games. I think we have them either 2 games from now or 3. I'm not sure. But that will be definitely a good game. Looking forward to that. But overall, it was a good weekend of football.
Yes, definitely. You know, the games continue to come thick and fast. We now go on a 2 week international break, so it will be 2 weeks before any EPL action returns. So this is a good opportunity for teams to really reflect on the first 4 games of the season. You know, put in some additional training from those players who are not on international break, you know, players recovering from injuries, etc. Really take a look at their tactics and see where things can improve going forward. But another exciting weekend comes to an end, and we definitely look forward to when EPL action returns. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Speedy, many thanks for coming on board and sharing with us your thoughts and your perspective. You know, we look forward to having you on the platform again. You know, you should definitely make yourself more available. You know, the subscribers and the viewers have been asking, where is Speedy? Where is Speedy? But, you know, sometimes
Well,
you have to take it in small doses. But I'm happy you're here, and let's hope we will see more of you going forward.
definitely, sometimes stuff come up, but definitely I'll be trying to, be on the show more often. So big up to all the viewers and subscribers. I'll be here more often from now on.
Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers. Until next time, this is Rafa signing off.